Hey everybody, this is Frilioth and welcome to another Minecraft tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to build the upgraded version of my industrial furnace array that now allows you to take XP from the furnaces. Now the furnace array behind me has got 32 furnaces in it. You can build this pretty much as long as you want, but bear in mind that an item, to smelt an item, it only takes 10 seconds. Therefore, if you build this longer than 32 furnaces, there's a very good chance that the furnaces down the end will smelt their item that's in there before the minecart has had a chance to get back to the chests, to refill and to make its way all the way down there again. In testing, I think I tried it with 64 furnaces, and the furnaces at the end and the furnaces at this end were smelting their goods far too quickly and wasting fuel. So bear that in mind. I think 32 is probably the maximum really you want to be building this thing. Now in this tutorial I'm going to be building a 16 furnace array, which is probably good enough for most people. And I'll put a list of everything you need to build that on screen now, so pause the video if you want to. So the area that you want to build in obviously depends on how many furnaces you want in your array. But I always try and build in 8s with this kind of array, because that way you can throw a stack of items into a chest and you know that the items are going to be distributed equally. And it goes back 6 blocks, so however many furnaces you want, lengthways plus a few and 6 back. You'll also have to dig down 2 blocks, so bear that in mind when you're building this. Now I'm building this with the furnaces on the left and the chests here. If you wanted to, and there's no reason why you can't build it with the chests on the left and the furnaces on the right. You just need to reverse whatever we're doing here. So to start with, grab your chests and decide where you want the input to be. We're going to have the input here, and we're going to need that's the chest for the items to cook. Crouch, we can do this in 1.13, we couldn't do it in 1.12, but crouch and put another chest next to it. That's going to be your fuel. And then you want to miss space and put down a third chest. That's going to be for the items that have been cooked. Now you want to take out your hoppers. You want to go around the back and crouch, and you need to put a hopper going into the back of your output chest, the chest where all of your cooked stuff's going to go. And then you want to put down another 2 hoppers facing into that hopper. So you've got 3 hoppers in total. Now you need to stick down as many hoppers as you've got furnaces. So we're going to be building one that's 16 furnaces long. So obviously I need to put down 16 hoppers. Now double check that all the nozzles are pointing into the hopper next to it. If you've got one there like that you've accidentally put going straight down, obviously the items are going to come down to this hopper and then stop. They won't flow any further down. So just double check that you have your hoppers facing into each other. Now you've done that, you can stick furnaces on top of all of those 16 hoppers. So again, miss out the first 3. You're going to need to crouch again. And you want to put your furnaces like that. Now take out your hoppers again, go out the back, go around the back and put hoppers leading into the back of all of these furnaces. And now you want to get up on top and you want to put a hopper pointing downwards into every one of the furnaces, going down into the top. Now the hoppers on the top are going to be the hoppers that are used for your input items. So whatever you want to smelt will go in through those hoppers into the furnace, and the hoppers on the back are going to feed fuel into your furnace. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now we can put in the redstone equipment at the front that pauses the minecart before it goes off and distributes all your items into the furnaces. So first of all, you want to go around the back of the 2 input chests and you want to dig out a bit of an area. That wants to be 2 deep. If you make it 2x5, that's probably going to be more than enough. Then you need to go down underneath the chests and underneath the block that's below the chests and pop out that block there. So you've got your input chests, you've got a couple of blocks, then you've got a gap. Then you want to jump out the hole, go around the front and dig out those 2 blocks there. Now, depending on which way you're orientating the furnaces, this is either going to take a little bit of wriggling or it's going to snap in perfectly. And you want to put down a couple of detector rails there like that. And then you want to go around the front again and put down a couple of temporary rails just there, just to get those rails to snap upwards. Now, if we built this facing the other way, if we built this orientated north to south, not east to west, we'd have had to have messed around a little bit. I'll see if I can show you here. So if we want those to snap up to the top there, they're not going to do it because of the orientation and how rails work. What you need to do is put down your detector rails there and then put down a powered rail there. Like that. And then you can put a rail at the top to snap it up. Okay? And then you can put down a detector rail next to it. Another rail at the top, and that snaps it up there like that. But be careful, you don't put the rails next to each other like that or they will snap together, because rails will always snap together east to west. It's all about trial and error. If you don't, it's hard to explain, but you'll understand when you try to build it. So once you've got that, we can now put in the rails over the back. Then you want to take out a block, put a block there like that, and then you want to dig out that block and dig out those 2 blocks there. So it forms a step up onto the hoppers that go into the back of your furnaces. Then take out a powered rail, and you want to put a powered rail there, then a normal rail, and then you want to put powered rails all the way down the back of your furnace. Or certainly all the way down the back of your hoppers that are going into the back of your furnaces. Now, depending on which way round you've orientated your furnaces, you might have to stick a couple of extra blocks at the end. But like that. If you don't, and if you've orientated this the wrong way or a different way, when you start putting minecart rails on the top furnaces, they're going to snap up with the lines on the bottom. And again, that's what I was talking about earlier on. It's just the way minecart rails work. So you're not doing anything wrong, it's just that's just the way it works. So if that happens, you're just going to have to extend those powered rails a little bit over the end. It's only temporary and we can knock out those once we've finished, but you are going to need just a bit of an overlap. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you want to come to the other rail and you want to put down 3 powered rails. And you're going to need to pop out that block there and stick in a redstone torch like that. And then you're going to have to pop that one out, and this is where because we can't put the minecart rails going straight up onto the top of those onto the top of those hoppers, we have to sort of bring it up and then around and then up like that, which is what we're doing here. So put your 3 powered rails down there, then you'll need a couple of normal rails. Pop that block out, and then you can put in a couple of powered rails. You'll want another block there, and then you want to join that up to here. So you need to do that, okay? And then you'll want a normal rail on top of there, and then powered rails running, and you'll have to crouch, running all the way down along the top hoppers. Now put yourself down a block there with a powered rail on top of it, and then you want to put a stop end on like that, and that's going to stop the minecart when it reaches the end. You can't do that because if you do, this last furnace will only take 1 item out of the Hopper minecart. So all of these furnaces will take 1 item out as it's going this way, and then it'll bounce off the wall, and all of these hoppers will take another item off of it going that way. So all of these will get 2 items every time it comes down. If you put that stop end there, this furnace will only take 1 item, because it comes over the top of it, drops an item, and then goes back again, which is why you need to put your stop end 1 block further over. Now you've done that, you can pop out that block and put another stop end there. So now you've got something that looks like that. Now we just need to put in a bit of power to power the rails without locking the hoppers. So you can't power these rails from the bottom, you can't power them from the side, because there's a very good chance that you will lock these hoppers. And if you lock the hoppers, obviously your furnace array is not going to work. So the easiest way to power them is to take a block and to put it above the rails like that, and then put a torch on the side of it, and that torch will power the rails on the top and the rails on the bottom. Now if you've only got 8 furnaces, then 1 torch should be enough. If your powered rails run out of power, then all you have to do is put another block above there and put another torch down. And that way all of your rails are powered, but none of your hoppers are locked. So now you've got something that looks like that. Now we can put in the redstone mechanism that delays the minecart. So you want to come around the front and you want to knock out all of these blocks like this. You can now get rid of those temporary rails as well, because your detector rails are now going to stay snapped upwards. So take out those blocks. Now be careful not to remove the blocks that you've just taken the temporary rails off. If you remove those, you'll have to mess about getting the detector rails back in again. So be careful not to move those. But just knock out a bit of space around those like that. Now coming out of these 2 blocks with your you can see the detector rails there. Coming out of these 2 blocks, you need a couple of comparators. 1 there and 1 there, and they're going to pull a signal out of those detector rails when the minecart, the Hopper minecart that's on them, has got something in it. Okay, it'll only pull out a signal when the Hopper minecart's got something in it. And you want to pop out those blocks just there, maybe make yourself a little bit more room. You can always fill this in later. And then you want to take out some hoppers, and you need 2 hoppers here. 2 hoppers here facing into each other. Okay, so you'll have to put 1 down and then crouch and put another hopper facing into that hopper, then delete that hopper and put it back again. So I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, but they need to be, and I'm sure you know what I mean, but I'm going to labour this just a little bit. You need them to be like that, facing each other. If you've got 1 like that and 1 like that, the clock won't work. Okay, so make sure those hoppers are facing into each other. Once they are, stick another solid block above the top of that hopper coming out of the comparator, and then a redstone torch on the side of it. So that redstone torch now is now locking this hopper. Nothing will flow out of that hopper into this hopper until that redstone torch is off. And obviously when items go into your Hopper minecart, the comparator will turn on, which is going to power that block, locking that hopper, but it'll also turn off that redstone torch, which will unlock that hopper. So everything in that hopper there will flow out of that hopper into this hopper, but not back again until your Hopper minecart is completely empty. Now you want to pull a signal out of this hopper, so you're going to need another comparator like that. You want that comparator going into a redstone torch because we want to invert the signal, so you need a redstone torch there. You're going to need a block above that, and then you're going to need a blob of redstone dust in here, like that. And then you want to do exactly the same on the other side. So it's a temporary hopper that's pointing straight down, crouch, put a hopper going into the side of this hopper, then remove it, and then look at the side of the hopper you've just placed and put another hopper into the into the side of it. Remember, it's very important these have got to be facing each other. Sorry to labour it, but if it doesn't work, then there's a very good chance that these are in the wrong orientation. So then put yourself a block above it, a block above that hopper, and a redstone torch on the side. A comparator there, going into a block with a redstone torch on it, a block above that redstone torch, and then a blob of redstone dust in there. Now all you need to do is put in the number of items into the hopper that corresponds with the amount of delay you want on the minecart. So as I mentioned, if you've got less than 8 furnaces, you'll probably get away with only having 3 or 4 items in that hopper. If you've got 16, I'm going to put in 8. If you've got 32, you'll probably want 16 or so, and any more than that, then you may well be wasting your time because the furnaces won't fill up quick enough in order to make this a productive furnace array. And then you want to do the same with this hopper. There you go. So now that's done, we can cover it all in solid blocks. Like that. Now you want to go around the back and you want to put down your fence gates. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these fence gates can't be like that. Do not put your fence gates like that, otherwise this will not work. Okay, you need your fence gates that way around. Okay, if they're not that way around, your Hopper Minecart's going to fall down and nothing is going to fill up. So now you should have something that looks a little bit like this. Now it's time to put in the redstone mechanism over the back that locks the hoppers and stops items from flowing out of your furnaces when you want to take XP from your furnaces. So what you need to do is get to the opposite end to where your input is. So if you built your input there and your furnace is on the left, obviously you want to go to the left hand side. If you've got your input there and your furnace is on the right, you'll need to go to the right hand side. Now you want to take out your block of choice, the block that's going to be visible from the front. We're going to be using redstone brick, and you need to put down 3 redstone brick there, or 3 blocks of choice there, and then 1 next to it, and on top of that block you need to put a redstone lamp. Now this doesn't have to be a redstone lamp, it can be a solid block if you want it to be, but then you won't see readily whether or not the bottom hoppers are locked or the bottom hoppers are unlocked. So I like using a redstone torch if I can afford one. And then you want to put a lever on that, so as I say, you can see when it's on and when it's off, and a block of choice on top of it like that, and then 3 blocks of choice next to it. Now you want to go around the back. You might have to pop out a few blocks over the back that we used temporarily to get your rails in place, but be careful not to knock out these ones that are forming these stop ends on the rails. If you do, obviously the minecart's going to come down the end and fall straight off, so be careful. Okay, but make a bit of room. Now you want to put down a block behind the back of the redstone lamp, and then you're going to start having to dig out a little bit of an area over the back here. So what you need to do now is dig out the 2 blocks that are directly behind the output hoppers that are underneath your furnaces. So it's all of these blocks here. Okay, we need to power these blocks that are underneath these hoppers. So we just need to dig all of these out all the way down to the last furnace. Like that. Now take out your repeaters, and you want to put a repeater just there, leading into the very first block that's underneath that hopper, and then you want to miss one and put down another repeater, then miss one, a repeater, miss one, 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 repeater, so on and so forth. Okay, and then you just want to fill in the rest of the gaps with redstone dust. Now, because a signal in redstone only travels 15 pieces of redstone, we're going to have to put an extension down here. If you only had 8 furnaces or 10 furnaces or even 15 furnaces, you wouldn't have to put this relay in. But because we've got 16, we have to put it in. And if you've got 32, you might have to put a couple in. If you've got 64, you're going to have to put 3 or 4 in. But to do that, just get yourself down to the end, the left-hand side where the lever is, and put a lever on that block and power it. And then you can see how many blocks it powers. It gets all the way down to here. It doesn't quite power the last one. Okay, so we need to stick a bit of a relay in here to power that, and consequently any others if we had other furnaces in the array. Okay, so what you need to do then is find the last bit of redstone dust that's powered, which is that piece there. It should always be going into the back of a repeater. You need to pop out that bit of redstone dust and put down a block. And then you want to put a bit of dust on top of that block. Okay, and then you want to knock out those 4 blocks like that. And then you need a repeater coming out of this block, going into some dust, and then a repeater going back into this piece of dust here. Now at the moment, that's a self-powering circuit. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you turn off that lever or not, this will remain powered because of that. So to stop that, you need to knock out that bit of dust there and replace it with a solid block. So now you can check that that's working okay just by going down and flicking this lever. And they should all go off, which they do. Now you can get rid of your temporary lever there. Now we need to pop out that block and put a repeater, and then we need to link the lever on the back of the redstone lamp to this repeater here, and you can just do that by adding a bit of dust. So now every time you flick the lever, the lamp goes on, and you know that all of your hoppers are locked. So anything now that's cooked in your furnaces will stay in your furnaces until you take it out and get the XP. Once you've done it, you can turn that lever off and then just wait for, I don't know, 1,000 items to be cooked in your furnaces. And then you can go back, turn on the torch, cook something else, and then take out the item that you've just cooked and get all of the XP from everything that was cooked prior in your furnace. I'm sure you understand what I mean. But now you've got something that looks a little bit like this. Now all that you need to do is make it look all pretty. So grab yourself some stairs. You don't have to use stairs if you don't want to. I just think that stairs make it look that much nicer. And then put a line of stairs in front of all your hoppers at the front. Like that. And then do the same facing downwards above the top hoppers. Like that. And then stick down a couple of, or 3 solid blocks there, and there. Then you're going to have to put a couple of solid blocks there, and we need to put stairs over the chests. If we don't put stairs over there, as you all know, you won't be able to access your chest, but we still want it to look like there's a solid block above there. So drop yourself down into this hole, look up, and you can put a stair block there, and voila. But you knew that anyway. And then run those blocks all the way across like that. And then drop back down in this hole again, look up, block like that, into this hole, look up, block like that. And then fill the rest in with solid blocks. Now if you wanted to, you can go around the back and fill in these blocks there. That'll mean that you can't see through. You won't see any light through the back of the furnaces like that. And then just to finish it off, we're going to stick a line of blocks across here. Now, before you do try it, you'll probably want to put down a few signs so that anybody using your array is going to know what items go in which chests. So we want to put, this is the output chest, so we just want to put a sign here saying that this stuff in this chest has been cooked. Like that. And then you've got your fuel chest. If you specifically only want sticks in your furnace array, or planks, or coal, or charcoal, or kelp blocks, or whatever, then obviously you can put that on the sign. But I'm just going to put a sign here saying fuel. And then this one is going to be your input chest. Like that. So the final thing then, before we can get this bad boy working, is we need to stick in a couple of Hopper Minecarts over the back. Without these, the system just will not work. So grab yourself a couple of Hopper Minecarts, and you need to put one just on that rail until it should make its way right up underneath. And then you want to put one on that rail. Same again. And now it's time to go and stick some fuel and some food in this. So if we stick in a few blocks of fuel, you'll see it takes just over a chest and a bit, just over a stack and a bit, which is more than enough to fill up all of the furnaces. You don't want it to be going off with only 10 items in there, as I said, because then that way only a few of your furnaces will get filled up and the ones at this end won't get filled up, and it just won't work very well. And then we can stick in our stuff that we want to be cooked. And voila! And there you go. So as I mentioned earlier then, you can leave that running indefinitely and it will store the XP in the furnaces. So everything that gets cooked has got an XP value, and that will be stored in that furnace. Eventually, when you want to recover that XP, you can go to the end, flick on the lever, and now anything that's cooked will stay in that furnace. And then that allows you to go down every furnace and pull the item out of the furnace, collect the XP, and then you can flick the lever off, and then the stuff will go through the furnace again while it's still collecting the XP, and it will be deposited in this chest here. And as you can see, with only 16 furnaces, this thing is running almost non-stop. So that's how you build the new furnace array that allows you to gather XP from your furnaces. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, everybody. If you have, please don't forget to leave it a like, and if you've really loved it, don't forget to subscribe for future tutorials. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll do my very best to answer them. This is Frilioth, and I'm out of here.